What's up, family? Hopefully you enjoyed your Christmas break. Look, we got a special guest on here today. Gonna talk about some of the fun stuff, talk about some of the upcoming stuff, but also get y'all maybe excited about some of the recruiting practices. You want to know all the recruits that we've added. You can either check Gerald Thomas, a Dallas Democrat, or of course you can check the Fangs up. Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter page. But with our special guest today, oh, y'all already know what's up. It's about to be Fangs up.
Yeah, baby, you know what time it is. Now let's get it started.
Are you kidding me? Unreal!
While our HBCUs are mostly known for academic rigor, community, they also know how to turn up.
Does he have it? Yes, he does!
And that might be the knockout punch.
Right, greetings, salutations, family. As y'all can see, got a little extra sub up there. Got some special guests from the Fang Exchange here today, and we're gonna talk a lot about what's going on FAMU. Maybe get them excited. And with no further ado, let's bring our special guest on.
What's up?
All is well. How's it going? Ashley from the Fang Exchange is here. Look, this supposed to happen a while ago. It was definitely my fault. So, but we're glad to have her on today.
We've been talking. We've been on this for a while now.
we have. So, but we got her here today. Go talk. Y'all know we kind of a little loosey goosey sometimes, but other times we talk business. So, look, y'all know recruiting is the lifeblood of a successful program. And Ashley, could you tell them just a little bit about what you do with the Fang Exchange, and not just why it's important. I know why it's important, but why they should feel like it's important as well.
Right. So, of course, Ashley, I've been across a few of our Rattler platforms. So, I'm pretty sure I'm not really a stranger, at least by face, to many people. But I'm one of the Rattler alums who help spearhead and lead Fang Exchange. And I say that as if I'm not the one who kind of got it going in the first place, but it's not just me, of course. Sometimes I'm the one that's seen the most, but it's not just me. I couldn't do all this by myself, and it's a lot, right? So we lead NIL for Florida A&M University athletes. So we kind of got rolling last summer. It feels like it's been longer than that, but it's actually only been like 6 months, considering our coach came in fairly late, and we had to build a relationship there and kind of build the groundwork of the groundwork of NIL, but you also need to build the groundwork of the organization, as well as like kiss the babies and meet the people you're supposed to meet within Florida A&M to just kind of, hey, let it be known. You know how this goes, the politicking, of course, the way it typically goes. So long story short, we've had a lot of meetings with individuals early on. We met even with some people outside Florida A&M, like Florida State's collective battles in. We had meetings with them just to see what they were doing and kind of learn from their model and the PWI model and the Power 5 model to kind of build the groundwork of what we're doing. So all in a nutshell, we are here to help facilitate NIL for our athletes. And it's not just football players, because that's the way it looks sometimes. But it's not just for our players, it's all those sports, as many as we can encompass, and females included. And we're here to help get into the game of NIL, because as we see, it's taking the college sports world by storm, the transfer portal as well. And NIL helps with that. It helps us retain some of those guys that we want to keep, and women that we like to keep. And also helps see the future recruits see that we are a university and athletic department that care about it. So that's a quick version of it. I'm pretty sure it'll come back up as we talk more about these recruits.
Absolutely, man. And I love that. Actually, she tried to keep that succinct. She tried to kind of downplay it a little bit, to make it not seem like the Fang Exchange is really changing the game. I can only think of one other HBCUs that has a serious collective, but none are as serious as FAMU. So, yeah. And you can see where our coaches are receptive of it.
Yeah,
you actually see where they're loving it. I'm just saying, as far as I know, they like it. And then we're seeing I don't know if
Oh,
y'all saw.
absolutely. Coaches are gonna always be with it.
Oh, what you say?
I say, yeah, the coaches are gonna always be with it. They understand it helps their job, makes their job easy, so they love it. Believe it or not, the coaches were the first people we talked to. Some of, because I mean, if you think about it, our AD was in transition. We had ADs, and there was a transition. So some of the people that were the first buy-in were the coaches, to be honest.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned, y'all did reach out across the street. I'll even share, some of them that are involved with that collective have helped with this podcast as well. So just as far as just more support, ideas, stuff like that. So, I'm loving that. Basketball season started. I don't know if y'all saw the basketball season tickets are up. I'm liking this. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know how you feel about it, Ashley. I'm loving our new AD. The previous one was what she was, but I'm loving AD Suggs right now. I think she's shown a lot of leadership and vision. Could you share a little bit some of what she's doing with the Fang Exchange? I don't know what you can't share, with that.
So of course, you can't share everything, of course, but we've had brief meetings. We're in communication. We actually communicate with our compliance department. So there are a lot of things behind the scenes that'll most likely stay behind the scenes because the rules change so often, and because we're all getting our bearings together of sorts, because this is not something that you can be, this is not the 10,000. It is the 10,000 hours, but it's like 10,000 new hours, because next week is going to be a new rule and you have to go and figure out how that pertains to your department, your school, your resources, and all the things. So that forces us to work interconnected to make sure that we aren't out of compliance in any instance, that we are doing things, that there's a way to present things, a FAMU way to present things. So we have to make sure we're staying in line with that. So there's always active communication, and it's not just from me. We have other individuals who kind of work behind the scenes, who have these relationships with our AD, with the individuals in the athletic department. So yeah, we actively communicate with them when necessary, and they give us the ability to kind of do what we need to do. And if for some reason, they reach out to us and say, hey, make sure you do it this way, or make sure you do it that way, we told them from the beginning, we are not here to do anything any different than, we just we're here to help. We're an extension of what you all do. And we're happy to do it without any remorse or anything. So that's how it works from inside house of sorts.
I got you. And, we do that on both sides here as well. I see Demetri talked about the game. It's funny you mentioned it. Look, B2A, right?
Yeah. I love it.
I love it. We finished the year strong. I want us to play more games like this, where you get some confidence games in. Like, every team doesn't have to be the Floridas, the Florida States, and the Miamis. Like, you need some games that you can get a little confidence in. We would love to see a few more of the, FAMU in the game, but we understand, like, it's winter break. I know I left Tallahassee this morning. I was intending to stay, but the weather was going to be kind of funky in Tallahassee and Central Florida, so I came on home. But the game was at 2:00 today. Can you just, I don't know, what do you think about, our basketball program, ladies basketball, kind of the flip, what you've seen so far? Like, how are you feeling about it as far as from your perspective as a fan, and, also NIL collective space as well?
So, of course, our basketball programs are kind of new, but of sorts. We got new coaches. We got a first-year coach on the men's side. We have a second-year coach on the women's side. So we're in the early formation stages of building this thing out to make it look how our coaches believe the women's and men's basketball coach, in addition to what AD Suggs and the athletic department think that it should look like. But I'm excited to see the growth and progression from where we were to where we are today. And sometimes you got to love and like and appreciate the small stuff. To me, like, I'm a basketball girl. Basketball is my sport. Believe it or not, like, I wasn't always, I love college football, but I grew up playing basketball. So from the X's and O's of it, from like being in it most of my life, I love to see the trajectory that the women's sports are getting just across the board. And then you kind of bring it onto our sport. Like, Coach Gordon is doing an amazing job. She's very personable. She has that grit and that competitive personality that you need as a coach. And to me, the trajectory is going up. Like, that's one thing you want to see. As long as it's going up. Would we like to be in the NCAA tournament this season? Absolutely. but realistically, you just want to see the trajectory go up, go into a positive direction from anywhere from where you were. So I love what I see in it. You know, busting the clock, what we like to call it, when you hit the 100-point mark. Like for me, that's the stuff we should do, and those are things that you want to see. Like I'm a Rattler, of course. I'm a fan, but I'm also handling business on side of things. So you want to see that from both sides of the coin. You're not just a fan. You're not just an alum. You're somebody who's like, hey, this helps us. This makes the better you look, the better we make you look, the better we can sell you, the better the fans are like, yeah. You know, these guys are winning. These girls are winning. Let's kind of lead into this NIL because again, the catch-22 is you play well, you do well. You got people coming to take your people. So that's when that NIL and, you know, and that retention becomes really important. But to me, I like when teams, and our team specifically, even when the boys, the men's basketball, they bust the clock on a few games ago at home on a team. And it's like, that's what you should do. I don't want us to play a team that we should beat by 40 points and we only beat them by 10. Like, beat them by 40 if that's what you should do. Even if that means you win 120-65. So what? Like, no mercy. But that's just the competitor in me talking.
I love it. What position did you play?
I was a point guard. I've always been short, so I had no choice but to be a point guard. Of course, I wanted to be a center because they just had cool moves, but that was not my wheelhouse.
Look, better than me in basketball. Basketball was never my sport. I can't shoot. I was that guy that my homeboys used to call me hustle man. I was gonna play defense and give you effort. That's all I had for you. Now you need some buckets. I couldn't do it.
Now, what I will say is I played flag football. By the time I was coming out of high school, flag football started getting catching steam for girls. And I do believe wholeheartedly, if I was a boy, I would have been an immaculate football player. I do believe I would have been a better football player than basketball player. But God didn't make me a boy, so.
Hey, there we go. Look, for a reason. Yeah, no, I played football. I played receiver, special teams. That was my thing. But I'm also excited though. Like in Coach Pressure, I'll give this to her. She is so personable, and one of the things I enjoy about her, she's not just one of those people. She embraced that FAMU culture where I think Willie Simmons helped establish this a little bit. You saw some of this with Jamie Shoup as well, but where you had the coaches that would go to other events. Like there's nothing to see Coach Pressure at a football game and getting on the football players. Like,
right.
And not just about what they're doing on the field, but what they do in the classroom. And so she gives you that mother feel. And then post game, I know when they came to Orlando, oh man, she stayed after probably about 45 minutes to an hour. Like they literally were telling us to get off out of the arena so that they could leave. Like she left before the other coach left. Like, and I ain't speaking grease, I'm a girl, but I was looking, I was like, hey, what? And then she left already. I'm like, oh man, I was gonna go talk to her. But Coach Pressure stayed a good hour, talked to the fans, the alumni, took pictures. Like I think she understands not just how to build the program, but how to build the culture of FAMU, and that we really believe in the FAMU league. Like it's bigger than just the sports for us.
It is. And when I first met her, she just gave me auntie vibes. Like I was just like, this is like my auntie. Even though it was a business conversation and we were talking about basketball and sports and all the things, like she like you said, she's that motherly auntie kind of energy, which is really what we're about at FAMU. Like family is a real thing for us. Even your professors, your teachers, your RA, if they were older than you, they were mothering you or nurturing you in some way, in Foothill, whomever it was, wherever it was. If they were of that age to be that to you as a student, that's what you got. And she just seems to almost have already had it organically. So she's just a perfect fit to me coming into our environment. Yeah,
and I know the boys took a loss today, took an L, but I'm liking Curry so far. Like I like his personality. He was actually at the I forget what football game that was. I think that was Valley, one of the games he was at. And, we got to conversing and talking, but I like his energy. And I like that he's kind of got a vision for the program. I'm hoping, they stop playing with boys' money. I say that.
They're going to take care of our boy. They're going to take care of him.
Yeah, but he's got a vision, and I like it. And, I know they kind of got another collective. They kind of starting up, but hopefully, we can get this all together. I'm very much of a, let's have one vision and go with the vision type person, but not just be smirching the other group. But can you just speak to any of the relationship maybe you've had or experience you've had with Coach Curry so far?
Yeah, so he was at the Orlando Classic game. Him and I think one of his assistant coaches was with him. And we have been in communication as well with Coach. I've been in communication with Coach Curry, and we they do have another. We kind of established like, hey, there's a basketball based collective that's there, but he's one of those guys that has like good energy. He's open. He's young. I really, really like him as a coach, and because he's been like an AD in his previous role, so he understands some things that more than just the X's and O's of things. He to me, he's a bright star in that we really need to try to hone in on as long as we have him, and to kind of take his perspective and view of things, and and glean from some of the things that he's been able to see and know. He's been around high level basketball, professional basketball, so there are some things that he's just seen and been around that he could give expertise on and things of that nature. So yes, we've been in communication. I did mention that some type of collab we're open to it at Fang Exchange, so you might see some things coming in the near future, but we do have an open line of communication. So yeah, and he's real cool.
Yes, I love it. Maybe we can get some memorabilia going. You see, look, this is one of my Christmas gifts. I ain't gonna even lie to you. Shout out to Santa Mom and Santa Pops. They hooked me up with a shirt, and I got the jerseys myself. But
Right.
but I think that's something that honestly we can continue to lean into, and kind of that continues to build the brand. Like part of us telling you that FAMU is different is the fact that we show it's different. Like we always say, we brag different, everything else. And a lot of times we go with the idea that, well, the brand sells itself. But even when you watch the SEC on the SEC network, they show you every day it's the SEC. It means more. Like
Right.
we as a nation group have to continually put out there, like the Fang Exchange, the boosters, the NAA, and these groups are really doing some stuff and doing some good things. Like, and I love what Cousin Kelvin says. We have a good group of coaches and AD to match. We need to keep it going. We do.
Yes.
We do.
Yes.
Need to swag to work with us about this schedule.
Yes. Having had a conversation with like various coaches from each sport, just about, not all, but many of them, they really are really great coaches. Like they are amazing people. And the more you talk to them, the more you just lean in, and you just are excited about the type of coaches they are. Like the X's and O's, that kind of stuff will come, but they really are a great group of coaches. And our AD puts the icing on the cake to me.
Great AD. I'm very biased. That is my cousin's ism. She's like, yeah, your cousin's X person. I'm like, yeah. She's like, that's my ism. I'm like, what? So they are both deltas. So and mentioning that, and look, got a little encouragement. Look, one thing I will tell y'all that's different about the FAMU League, we don't compete with each other. Like I promise y'all, I purposely on Thursday nights, I try to watch the clock and try not to go over, because I know the Fang Exchange is right after the Fangs Up podcast, and it's like, oh, let me shut this down so y'all can just go on and roll right into that.
Tell you, well, I hit him up before we even went live. It was like, hey, let me make sure let's get our timing right, because we aren't here to take away eyes or compete for eyes or compete for whatever. We aren't here for that. We here to work together and be in collaboration. So he'll tell you in a minute that I was in his DMs fast, making sure I wasn't overstepping any boundaries, because it's really family.
Exactly. Like y'all see, we on ONG. We tell y'all, hey, go watch Penalty Talk. Everybody else, anybody that rocks with FAMU, we rock with you.
Right.
And she mentioned the coaches. Look, got another one. Justice Cross got a linebacker. You look, another Florida boy. How you feeling about that, Ashley? Look, how you feeling about that?
What I'm loving is,
get you right. Here we go.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah, I got you right. I was like, wait, I hit the wrong button.
What I'm loving is all the Florida energy coming back. Like that's what we saw with our previous regime, and we don't want to, put expectations on our new coaching staff to act like the previous coaching staff, because we won championships and we were just a winning program. But you can always take things, you make it your own, but you take some things and you kind of tweak it to what you like. And one thing that is a common theme is bring Florida boys back home, bring Florida athletes back to Florida. Whether it's Tallahassee, whether it's Eustis, whether it's Sanford, like, and we know we have, like, right in South Florida, we have the best athletes that you're going to probably get in the nation. So it's too easy for us. And I feel like as FAMU football players specifically, like, we should never want for high quality athletes, because third string at Chaminade probably better than first string somewhere else. So why not?
It really is, and I love that. You know, us as a fan group, we differ. You know, some of us are more fanatical than others, but
Yeah.
I do love that you're seeing the coaches respond to it to a certain degree. Like, you know, within reason. Like they ain't, you know, the folks that are on the outer extremes, they ain't responding to them folks. But you do see a lot of us like, hey, we're an offensive lineman, we're a defensive lineman. In the last couple weeks, you know, last couple days actually, you started to see these offers go out for offensive and defensive linemen. I love it.
I do too, because you know, we as what you call couch coaches, armchair coaches, like we watched the season, our last season, you know, and we all know, and you know, we have our little chats where we you would think that we were the ones in these roles the way we act, but it's good to see that like our coaches see what we see as areas of need or areas to replenish or areas that you know to enhance you know, skill sets and positions. And you see the offers going out for exactly that. And it's intentional. And one thing I keep seeing, I don't know if anybody else is catching it, but Coach Cozy keeps using the word details when he's tweeting. And to me, when you think about what it means to pay attention to the details of something or to hone in on the details and focus on the details, to me, you can see where he saw that there are some details missing or details that needed to be enhanced. And he's tackling them head on. And I see someone in the chat says, you know, 2 hires were big hires. Like they really were big, needed essential hires that we should see the difference in the upcoming season. Just off those 2 hires alone, not to mention the commits that we're getting and signed on, as well as the offers going out. So yeah, I like what I see from our staff. I like the way Coach Cozy is kind of steering the ship in a direction that works for him. And I'm just excited to see how you put it together.
And I love that he owns it. Like that's one of the things. Like if you caught that last home game and you know, that Valley game, you can see it bother him. Like, and you can see him say, you know, that damn standard. and you know, we all sitting there like, nah, it's not the standard. Like losing the Valley ain't it. But the fact that you don't just come with excuses. Like I'm not big on tell me why we lost. Don't tell me why you lost. Fix it. Yeah. Like don't nobody care.
Solution based.
Nobody cares why you burnt the food. If the food is burnt, bring me some food that's not burnt. like you can fix it on the back end, but bring me some dubs. Like, and dubs over 10 we should beat. Like I don't need to know how you messed up the sauce. Just fix the jump, you know. So I think that's one of the things I'm enjoying about Cozy. And you know, a lot of people kind of overlook, you know, they talk about our coach a little greasy, you know, FAMU needs a NFL hire. You got an NFL coach at, you know, FAMU, you got a little NFL experience. How you feeling about these new coaches coming to this HBCU space, though?
I'm a little indifferent, only because at least for one thing that from what I can see, and I can correct me if I'm wrong, even in the chat, from what I've seen, the programs that have gone this route have needed it of sorts. They've needed a jolt, they've needed some energy, they need some wins, they just needed something, and those type of hires have seemed to have brought that. Well, obviously Deion Sanders came in and that did it. So then, you know, others have done it. It doesn't. A lot of these coaches have played in the NFL. They may not be celebrities, quote unquote, but they've had some NFL experience, even on like staff and position coaches. Like our defensive line coach played in the NFL. So, you know, it's not lost on these coaches that they don't have NFL experience, or at least someone in the assistant role has. But I think as an overall program, these programs just need a jolt of energy, and these types of hires are seen to be doing that for them. So to me, I hear the conversation about, you know, coaches that have worked their way up the ranks and they're getting overlooked. I've heard that, but I graduated from SBI. I'm a business type girl, so you can feel for a coach who may feel like they're being overlooked, but business has no emotions. And when it's time to affect the bottom line, when it's time to get some energy somewhere, you have to make the business decision. And the business decision might say, hire Mike Vick over Coach ABC, who might even be a better coach, if we're being honest. But maybe that Coach ABC can't give the energy or ignite the fan base or bring the wins as quick, or the recruits even, that maybe the AD and that particular program is looking for. So it doesn't really bother me in the sense that from a business standpoint, it's a business decision to me, in my opinion. That's my personal opinion. I believe it boils down to being a business decision. It's not necessarily a bad business decision. And Uncle Steve said, we don't need a celebrity. Thankfully for us, we are not in that position where FAMU needs a celebrity coach, but those programs needed it to kind of get them back into the spotlight, and it's working because they are in the spotlight. They are on everybody's podcast. They are on ESPN getting conversations. People are excited about buying season tickets and things of that nature. We happen to have a fan base who is all in for FAMU, win, lose, or draw. We happen to have a program that's considered a blue blood, so we're kind of good. I don't think we need it personally, but there's some programs that need it, and if it works for them, then cool, it works for them.
I like that. That's a different perspective. Like I like the fact that you brought it to that business side, and that's one of the reasons. With the FAMU League, like we're different. Like everybody does. I'm not an SBI grad. I went there for history, so and I got education, training while I was there too. So a lot of me is that emotional and how they feeling and all that other garbage they teach you. Like whereas I like that part about the business point of the bottom line is the bottom line. Either you winning or you losing. And I like that approach because I think when some others kind of start thinking about it, you stop looking at that approach of, all right, we need to hire the most experienced person, whereas we need to bring somebody that's going to put some butts in seats, get some eyes on the program, and get some talent on the field. Like, I love that perspective. And I'm with you, though. Like, I see both sides of that because I do have that part of me where it's like, what about that guy that, that's the GA? Like, give Colsey his credit. Colsey started out as GA. He was an assistant coach. He was a head coach. Then he went back to being an assistant. Then he became a head. So, as much as you can be like, oh, yeah, he went to the NFL. He kind of, he still went through the line. And even with Dion, I give him his credit. Like, he coached in high school. He coached multiple years. He got his degree. I got his degree. But, he didn't kind of skip the line where it seems like some of these others to skip the line. So it's interesting to see kind of how, it affects recruiting. And I want to see what the myth is about, how it helps their businesses, because I think we see other programs where the business model hasn't quite hit the same way, but some of them, to go to what, some others say, some of us are just paying these folks a little high. I believe Eddie George's making like a half, I ain't judging his pockets. Hey, if you can get it, it ain't tricking if you got it. But at the same point, if you're paying a head coach $500,000 and you're, HBCU struggling to get 10 in the stadium, you might be, jumping the shark a little bit. But I'm wondering with these schools, one, does it help recruiting? Does it help open those doors? But then, as you mentioned, the business side, does it open those business doors? Because I haven't seen that anywhere except for Deion Sanders. And I think when you start talking about Deion Sanders, he's an anomaly. You can't act like everybody's him. Like, he was a brand before he got there.
Correct.
Not like he got to Jackson State and all of a sudden, no. This dude had Nike deals. He was playing for the Braves and the Falcons. Like, I was a huge Braves fan growing up. So it's like, you knew who he was. Like, okay. And then he comes to Jackson State. He brings in all these recruits with him and he flips that program that quick. And you have that large fan. Like, so it's that some of that's just economy of scale, whereas I think a Norfolk is better set to pull it off when you start looking just economy of scale type stuff. I think their stadium seats like 30,000. So that may have a part to play in whatever TV numbers are TV numbers. Whereas Delaware, you're talking like 10,000 people. Like, that's like Gene Cox Stadium right there. I don't know what you're going to do with that.
It is. Yeah, it is. I think that this gives us an opportunity to kind of compare now, because we saw how it played out for Deion Sanders, right? So now you get a comparison. You get to compare what might be able to do at his university. You'll be able to compare what Deshaun Jackson can do at his university. But just like Kelvin Roger said in the comments, like, he has no problem, trying something new. Like, we always talk about being innovative at HBCUs, right? We always talking about doing new business deals and doing things different and not doing the same things we did in the early 80s and the 70s and the years where we didn't have a lot of options. Like, this is innovative, and it's not to not have any empathy or emotions towards those people who are really all working their way up from ground zero to get to these positions. But I also am a firm believer in timing, right? And sometimes it's just not your time to take the opportunity. No coach sticks around for forever nowadays, right? So it may not have been in 2024 that you got your job, but what if it happens in 2027? What if it happens in 2026? And what if you get to walk into an opportunity that has been built up rather than you having to be the coach to grind it out and build it up? There's so many what ifs, that play out in this. So it's not to have no emotions towards the coaches who really are working their way up from the bottom to the top of things to get to the head coaching position. But from my perspective, I just still have to lean in on the business side of things and how can it help ticket sales? How does it help media visibility? How does it help brand notoriety? How does it help corporate dollars? How does it just raise the profile of your university? Because we know that sports, football specifically, but sports in general is one of the only probably, unless I stand corrected, one of the few departments that can raise the profile of an entire university. When sports does well, the university gets the profile raised. So you want to lean into making your sports and athletic department better because it helps your university overall when you're able to do that. And we've seen that model happen at PWIs all the time.
I agree. And I remember when I worked at Jones High School, like the people from the University of Alabama would come in to recruit our students. And they were like, football is what really, like, when we win the national championship, we see our numbers go up. And I think that'd be a fun, interesting thing to see just with the Celebration Bowl as a FAMU perspective, to see, even with all the stuff that went on, how that affected, applications. Because, FAMU don't waive that waivers for many students. We ain't like some of these other schools that waive that fee. Like, nah, you might get 15, 20,000 kids apply to FAMU and all of them going to pay that fee. So I think that might be something interesting. And then just to kind of see, like, I'm with you. I'm wanting to see what becomes of this going forward. What happens with that next crop of coaches that come in, and where do they start at? Like, are we going to be able to get it in there as far as, like, are they going to be creating a new level of competition? Because you got the old guard, the MEAC. And so far in the SWAC, we haven't seen that next celebrity coach kick in. Like, we saw Willie, okay, not a celebrity. Now TC's won it, not a celebrity. Only celebrity we've seen do it over here in the SWAC is Dion. And as mentioned, we saw the Hugh Jackson experience didn't work, but I mean, you can't blame Grambling for that. That it didn't work in the NFL either. So like Mickey Joseph. So I think we found the secret to the sauce is just what school can commit to making that happen.
Yeah, and true story, we were talking about like how these types of winning and if it means bringing in an next NFL guy or someone who can kind of bring eyes to the program and actually win a championship, or just at least win, even if it's the conference championships, and then get to the Celebration Bowl and win there. True story, I was working in banking when Jameis Winston was the quarterback of Florida State. True story. I was helping a college student, freshman, sophomore type age. So not junior, senior, but freshman, sophomore age group. And I was just casually talking to him as I was helping him with his bank account. And I must have asked him in so many ways, what made him come to Tallahassee, Florida State of nature. And he told me out verbatim, he came to Florida State because Jameis Winston was here. And I will never forget it. That was years ago. We know how long ago Jameis was at Florida State. And I never forgot that. And it was amazing to me because I didn't pick FAMU because of a particular athlete was there. Most of us probably didn't. We picked FAMU for whatever our reasons were, but it wasn't that. And it made me even more realize that in real time, I saw a student who literally picked Florida State, like not because they had his major. I mean, and perhaps they did, but what he told me was that he came because of Jameis Winston. And as we know, when Jameis Winston was there, they were winning. They were winning championships. And Florida State was a perennial program, that was, it still is, carries a name, but not winning so much. But when Jameis was there, they were like glory years, right? So we see where enrollment skyrockets. It's an exciting place to be. Winning is fun. All the things. So it's so important to kind of hone in as leadership in these universities, especially HBCUs, because we have more than just winning. Like, we have culture. Like, if we lean into culture and winning, it's unmatched.
We definitely brag different. Look, because I didn't even put this on the script. I ain't gonna lie, I tend to set a script if I'm doing a show with you. I try to share the script. I don't like people to get caught left-handed, and I used to send my questions. If I talk to the coaches, I literally send them all the questions because most times, because I don't want them to be like, you trying to catch me slipping. Like, nah. But you mentioned the vibe. Like, we kind of saw a little bit this year, some folks want the cannon. Some people like me, you can keep that cannon. It's just loud, and I got to move out of the way from it when I'm in the end zone. But how do we really do a better job of selling the brand of FAMU athletics in general, not just football? We sell Club Bragg well. How do we sell the rest of the brand?
I do think that. Well, visibility is starts with visibility, because you have to see. Social media is amazing in the sense that you can get into the living room of anybody just about you want to from the click of a post. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I don't know if we'll still have TikTok in a few weeks, but
We're fighting
TikTok,
for it.
Yeah, TikTok, Twitter, X, now known as X. We have opportunities to be. So we have to sell, like, our media department enhanced itself. So you saw the women's softball team doing the dugout songs and mic'd up thing is always a cool thing to do. So that's kind of it's so many caveats, but from a social media standpoint, like that's probably the most cost-effective way to get in front of every person who is a fan or could become a fan, and quickly as well, right? That's one way. But another way is to, of course, it always starts with your community. And that's what I love about AD Suggs, is that she's really, really big on bringing the community in. Today for the basketball games was Church Appreciation Day, if I'm correct. So my mom, who lives in Tallahassee, brought up the basketball game to me today, who has never, or at least not in a while, but she mentioned the basketball game to me. And I said, oh yeah, it's Church Appreciation Day. And she said, yeah, they told us to come right after church. That was a conversation we had that we haven't had either before in a long time. But that's how you lean into your community. And then, because word of mouth, one thing I learned in marketing is that word of mouth goes way further than any advertisement you could pay for. You could pay for a Super Bowl commercial and yeah, we'll see it. But if I tell you, hey Keith, you should try the new chicken spot down the street, you'll trust me knowing me before you just look at a commercial run across your TV screen. So that word of mouth goes a long way. And I believe that we have to get our core people excited about these different programs, not just football, and the word of mouth travels. If I call my friend who came to FAMU with me but moved to Houston and say, are you going to the Prairie View game? I'm going to come to, it's those kind of things, your communities, and then communities of communities and community of communities, and it just grows exponentially. So I think those are some of the things we can do, like start with our local and our core communities, alums, and reach those people who aren't really active unless it's homecoming, find ways to reach back into our communities and make us feel special. But that word of mouth is everything to me. And in my personal opinion, yeah, you have to keep up with the time. So social media is there. I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm saying word of mouth really does travel. And I think that's one of the ways outside of just the social media, the national ways. And then when we get an opportunity to be in national commercials, like we've seen ourselves in AT&T commercials and those kind of things, you do that when you can. But that word of mouth and reaching back into our communities will go a long way.
You mentioned it, word of mouth and the Fang Exchange. If you haven't seen, look, I couldn't steal the video. I definitely tried to, but we have a vodka out here with Social House. And I'll be honest with y'all, Social House, they don't rock with everybody. Like, I think FAMU is the only HBCU I've seen with them. I've seen University of Wisconsin with them.
Yeah,
that definitely hit because of some other things. But Social House got a partnership with the Fang Exchange.
Yeah.
So could you mind, sharing with the good people kind of what's the word on this right here?
They work with, of course, across the tracks. They work with Florida State along with about 8 other universities, all of which are Power 4 level PWIs programs. And they thought that we were a department and a community of people that they thought were important to kind of partner with. And they reached out and wanted to partner with us, and we kind of listened to them talk and see how they want to do things. And Fang Exchange, thought it was a good idea, an opportunity to kind of help our student athletes through NIL. And as you see, you never see an athlete promoting this, right? Because that's too far. We're not letting you promote it, but it does benefit the organization that then ultimately turns around and send those dollars right back to our athletes for opportunities to get out in the community. We work with quite a few businesses, not just Social House, that some public, some not. And that's what we're going to do in 2025 is be a lot more, I don't want to use visible, not necessarily transparent, because that seems like we've been hiding something because we don't really have anything to hide, but just be a lot more vocal and transparent when we talk about the business that we work with. So Social House was really big on kind of working with our type of community where we don't always get these high level brands who want to who see us as an opportunity, and we're probably will buy anything that's orange or green. So you would think more brands will hone in on people like us, HBCU communities, and not just FAMU, but HBCU communities in general. But Social House is smart enough to see that we are a community of people who have buying power, who is a fan base who is truly about our schools and our athletic departments, and they thought it was a good idea to come and partner with us, and we agreed that it was a good partnership, and it gave us an opportunity to hone in. And one thing that they always say, the vice president over at Social House always says, is that he wanted to lean into to our community of people who kind of get overlooked oftentimes to other schools like the ones that they've already partnered with. So we thought it was an honor that they wanted to work with us. They have invested in this. Those labels you see, the production of these things, that's an investment that they put in. Fang Exchange did not have to come to the table with anything but an agreement, and they put in the investment, and they're going to actually financially compensate us through royalties for what we work with them. And that's the beautiful thing about it. So those are one of the things that we want to continue to do. We want to continue to partner with businesses who see the importance and see the value in who we are as people, as a community, and then and they're willing to invest in our community. And then and it's still business. We know that we're not lost on the fact that it's a business. It's business, and it helps them as well. But it's okay because you help me, I help you, and we help us. Is the way I see it. So yeah, that partnership was right on time. It was like I said, we've been in business for 6 months, and we got a partnership with that magnitude that fast. So we're looking forward to 2025 and growing and leaning in on even more partnerships that will help us compensate our students through name, image, and likeness.
I love it, and the price ain't bad. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like a lot of stuff, you'd be like, oh man, it's like $30 a bottle, something like that. Like it's pretty reasonable price. Like some of y'all be spending X amount of dollars on liquor. I ain't gonna say your names, but I got some friends that y'all don't spend $100 on a bottle of liquor, and it'd be like, it's all right. They're like, bro, you ain't like it? Like, it was all right.
Right.
I'm hearing some good things from this. And there's more merch. Y'all have had shirts. Look, if you go on the website, the only thing is the hat right now, because y'all sold out the shirts, right?
The only thing is the hat right now. We actually have decided at the top of the year, which is very soon, a couple days from now, we have a lot of things that we're going to roll out. So more merchandise you will see. We actually have the mock-ups for it and everything, just needs to be presented through the website. We're going to add a lot more details to this website so that, we started out again, at this point, we were kind of feeling things and making sure that we were able to grow. So now we're at a point where we kind of know who we are. We know how we need to approach things. We've been doing this for a few months. We know what the direction we need to go in to take Fang Exchange to the next level. And that's the whole point. I talked to Coach, and he said, I've taken the athletes off because, we got a new set of athletes. So when you see right there on the website, we're putting our new athletes on. Absolutely. Coming in the new year as well. Absolutely. But one of the first things that all these athletes want to know about is NIL, believe it or not. So it's one of those things where we may not like it. Some people don't like it. Some people absolutely hate it. Some people, everybody has their own thoughts about name, image, and likeness and how it should be done and those things. But what I can tell you is that it's not going away. And the level of recruits that you have been, posting on Twitter and through your shows, and ones we've discussed, and the ones we love to see are committing, they are not necessarily going to be individuals who don't want NIL. Now, I'm not saying that that's their only desire. I'm not saying that they're, that's all they care about. But it's just one of those things where it's a new part of the ask. You know, you want to know who your coaches are going to be. You want to know who your playing time is like. Depth chart is what you want to know. Major for school, but you also want to know: are you a school that cares about NIL? Just a simple question. Do you have it? Do you indulge in NIL, and is it important to you? Because if we're being honest and we look at the recruits that we have, if you go look at the offers that they have, they aren't other swag schools.
Not many. There's only two major swag schools that they're getting NILs from, or offers. Sorry, not NILs. And it's Jackson State and Alabama State. I'll say that up front. Y'all know I'll tell you the truth, even if it hurts. Jackson State and Alabama State are the only two HBCUs that you normally see that are even in competition for many of our students.
And then when you think about it, and when you think about it, the fact that those are probably the only two that we are probably in some level of competition with the type of athletes that we're going for, then you realize that there's a next level up that we're competing with. So we're competing with UTSA and Toledo and Akron, yeah, and so many. I'm going blank now, but I was sitting there. I was talking to someone else about the types of schools that we're competing with. Like you see FAMU as an offer, and then you go scroll through maybe a recruits page, and you see the offers that they receive. So these are schools that are moving with the times of the college market, right? So we can't go and recruit these same type players and not offer and compete with the people that offer things similar. Not saying that we're gonna offer the same figure. Not saying that we're going to offer exactly the same thing, but we have to show that we care about it and that we're willing to engage with it. And that's all that matters. And that's really what helps these athletes make a decision. I mean, and we have the things that the other schools don't have. Like I said, we have the culture that many of the schools that we compete with don't have. So we have an edge, but we do need to show that we care about NIL. And that was one of the things that made me even start Fang Exchange and kind of scream from the rooftops, like, hey, we have to pay attention to this. We have to care about it. And we're still educating because our fan base still needs to understand who Fang Exchange is and still needs to understand what name, image, and likeness is and how it should work and the compliance side of things. And no, it's just not a big money grab, but it's more about an opportunities for these athletes to capitalize off their name, image, and likeness, even if it's nothing but as simple as a jersey sale. That means a lot to them. It means a lot to these athletes. You all wouldn't believe how much these things mean to them. So we just have to just, as a university who is expected to win, who is expected to recruit high-level athletes, we have to make sure that we're doing what the market is doing. And that's another business, model. You have to do what the market's doing, because you come in below the market, you're going to most likely lose out unless you have something that's really, really going to push you above or are in competition with those in the same line of business that you do. So when you're competing with Toledo, when you're competing with UTSA, when you're competing with all these G5s, or you kind of got to get in and recruit where you can.
Yeah, and I enjoy that. I like that you pointed out, because these are schools that defeated us in recruiting. I mean, you kind of think about it. I don't know if you watched the what game was that? Was that Akron and I forgot who they played, but the team Anthony Dunn went to, and you were kind of looking like, dang man, like he ain't really getting no burn in the game. Them against Pitt, and so I was pointing out to my mom, and I was like, hey mom, Pittsburgh, we got a player from their team on the roster, and Akron took one of ours, and you started to see where, because of the Fang Exchange and these entities, we're competing against teams that used to take our players, and now we're getting some of their players back. But I think some of the other impact is they're seeing the success of the players like Daniel Richardson, who kind of came in and, he played at Central Michigan. Then he comes to Florida Atlantic. Then he comes to FAMU and really goes gangbusters like this past season. So you started to see where your efforts are producing fruit. And again, as you pointed out, these are group of 5 teams who are in not power conferences, but who are getting TV revenue that may be exceeding ours, whose facilities oftentimes are beyond what ours are. Facilities. But like you said, we got that sauce. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know nobody. I know one of my frat brothers, his son is going to one of those schools in the MAC. And he's like, yeah, the facilities, they got a couple kids in the NFL. And I'm like, yeah, but you can't sell me those states in the wintertime compared to, I know Tallahassee's cold to y'all who ain't from Tallahassee, but come on, like FAMU ain't nothing like FAMU women. I'm sorry. Look, what?
It's nothing like FAMU. It's nothing like FAMU, like no matter how you put it. And you mentioned facilities, and I see in one of the comments from Kelvin Rozier, he was even talking about how facilities investments is also, as well as winning, is important to like putting our brand and raising the profile of our athletic department. And that's very true. And I've also heard people kind of discuss like, hey, we need new facilities, so we don't need to be worried about NIL and all the things. Two things can be true at the same time. And sometimes you need to kind of attack multiple things at once, and they can marry together. And from a business standpoint, and we have a business-minded AD, so I'm not even worried about, how she'll attack those types of things. But just generally speaking, so I'm not speaking for FAMU when I say this, because I'm not worried about our AD and what she can and will do in the future. But generally speaking, we need to, we as people, HBCUs especially, since we're probably the ones, and we're not the only ones lacking in facilities per se, but we're talking about us. So because some of us lack in facilities, like we have to figure out how to attack two things at once and make them both equally important. And we all have a list of priorities, a 1, 2, and a 3, and a 4. And NIL may not be number one, but it needs to be on your list of things that, hey, we need to make sure that we're honing in on this. And even if it means allowing an alumni group of individuals who don't mind running it for now, while we focus on the bigger thing, which would be updated facilities, new facilities, and hiring coaches and putting in a winning environment and cultures in place. That's just what you do. But I do think that it's important that we recognize that we cannot push one to the side for the other. They're both important. Maybe not equally, because I'm the person who started Fang Exchange, and I'm here to say that facilities are more important than NIL. I'm a firm believer in that. But I also will say that you need to hone in on both. I can't tell you that I would encourage any one person that the powers that be to say, oh, don't worry about NIL, just only focus on how to get better facilities. I would never say that, because it's highly important to our athletes. So you can have an amazing facilities, but not high quality athletes to come and play in those facilities. And then what do you have? Just a beautiful building, right? So you need both. There's a balancing act here, and we got to figure out how to balance these things out.
Yeah, and there's an arms race going on in the SWAC. I think if we kind of look, I was commenting with my girl from Alabama A&M. I saw her at the Celebration Bowl last year, and Alabama A&M's facilities are like stellar. Like they're new basketball arena. They're building new facilities everywhere. We've seen where Jackson State has updated their facilities. Even Valley's got pretty much freaking new football stadium. So you've gotten to a point where your competitors and the teams that, as you were stating, there's levels of this. Like, in a nice way of saying this, there's levels of this. And we consider FAMU being at the top tier. FAMU, in my perspective, is one of the blue bloods. Like, we are one of the deacons at the board of the SWAC. We just came in, but we came in really quickly and established that, hey,
we came in strong.
We came in strong. We doing work. We doing work for the Church of the SWAC. And we've already brought you some trophies before some of your other folks did, but I digress. So that means that since we have come in and we didn't came in and donated to the building fund, changed doors, all kind of stuff. Look, man, we some workers for the Lord. But since we have come in, we got to make sure we stay ahead, because again, you're seeing our competitors keep up. You're seeing what Southern has done with their football stadium multiple times over. So it means that we've heard AD Suggs state that she's working on some stuff with the field house. I don't want to say everything she said in the booster meeting. You should have been in the booster meeting, but she's working to get some updates to that field house, and some significant updates. So as we kind of see, like, you got to do both. And part of it, until you can get the facilities where you want them to be, the NIL is the easiest way to get it there. Like, it gets the players' attention. It brings them in, because I as much as I agree with you, but one of our counterparts who actually works with the with that other school and their other program, they stated, they were like, look, NIL matters a lot more to these kids and these facilities sometimes, because that check talk.
Well, to the athletes, yes, I agree with that portion. But to the alums and the people who are writing the checks, that was my stance on it. But to the athletes, you're absolutely right. That NIL conversation is one of the first conversations being had, and that came directly out of one of our coaches' mouth. So, these NIL conversations, these kids want to know, and what I will say as well is that, in my experience with talking with some of the athletes, is that they understand where we are and what we can do and what we can't do. So they're not coming in expecting things from the level of what you see at another university, that, you know, that's just what they can do. That's the budget that they have. Those are the resources that they have. So I do also respect and like that they are realistic with what, you know, what they're looking for and what they know we can do for them, instead of being unrealistic about it.
You know, I love that. I love the fact we could do stuff. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Look, I'll tell anybody real quick. This show started because I got frustrated listening to Florida State stuff. I grew up listening to Florida State stuff at FAMU. Like, you know, nobody do this. And then this, and then I met Brian, ONG, and now you got the Fangs. Like, literally, you got a dedicated group of people who do this. Talk about FAMU for the low cost and price of $3.99. I did get a donation to somebody who donated, so I thank you. I appreciate it. I ain't gonna say your name because I don't want other folks attacking you and asking too, because I ain't gonna block my blessing. but definitely want to encourage folks. Look, it's actually gotta go to work tomorrow. I'm on break. So how can folks get plugged in with the Fang Exchange?
Okay, so of course Keith gonna always have his graphics on point. So he has the perfect graphic that tells you how you can get in contact with and stay connected with Fang Exchange through Instagram, through Twitter, known as X, through our website right in the bottom corner. We also are Fang Exchange on Facebook, which we're going to start promoting more. We recently created a Facebook page for some of our seasoned Saints, and and we will continue to give out information across the board. Here's another thing I want to tell you that I did not tell you before we got on here tonight, is that we're getting ready to start a campaign called Thanksgiving, and it's going to start probably within the next week or two, and many of you will see more about it and hear more about it. But this is an opportunity for all of our alums, fans, those who give, those who haven't given in yet. You know, we're starting a new year, budgets are starting over, income tax about to start rolling in. Don't forget about us. Don't forget about us, because Thanksgiving will be here, and it's an opportunity, and there will be giving levels that you can give at. And the beautiful thing about this is, because we have many conversations about giving and efforts that are sometimes multiple efforts going at the same time, and it gets to be convoluted and complicated in some ways. This is a one-time ask type of campaign. This is not a recurring thing. This is not a, hey, we asked you in January, we're gonna come back and talk to you in August. This is literally a one-time ask. And just to give a little bit of more information, as we're looking for at minimum 3,000 fans, alums, and anyone of the like to give $100 one time. If you're able to do that, and if we're able to reach out and connect with those 3,000 people who like, love, and will become fans of FAMU athletics, that is what we need to take care of all of our athletes who will be a part of Fang Exchange. And again, this is not just a football thing. They're kind of the big program, and they're the revenue generating program, but we have basketball, we have softball, we have golf, we have tennis, we have volleyball, we have so many different sports, baseball, that these individuals are winning as well. Championship type track programs as well. So we want to make sure that we are taking care of all of our athletes across the board. And no, it won't be every single athlete in the athletic department, but it will be a great percentage of representation of who our championship programs are, and who those individuals who we believe have worked for the opportunity to capitalize on the name, image, and likeness. And the good thing is that with this Thanksgiving campaign, you won't walk away empty-handed. And you know we love gifts, and we love merch, and we love having exclusive things. So you'll see some exclusive Fang Exchange hats, you'll see some exclusive shirts, you'll see some other opportunities that you can kind of indulge in once we release the tier. So I want to make sure I told you that it is coming and will be released. Fang Exchange normally has a show on Thursday nights after Fangs Up at 9 p.m. And we decided to take a break on this holiday season. So we will be back in action on the first Thursday in January, which I believe is the 8th. No, it's the 9th.
Yeah, I'll double check. Yeah, it's the 9th. It's the 9th.
January 9th. Okay, so we'll be back in action on January 9th, starting back up for the 2025 year. And one thing we want to do is make sure that we give more information and be more vocal about what thing. We've done a lot of behind the scenes thing in these first 6 months. Now it's trying to come out in the forefront of things and let you all get a kind of a peek behind the curtain of what we're doing, how we're doing it, why it's important, education, all the things. So 2025, we're looking to take Fang Exchange to the next level. We've gotten a good sample size of how this thing will work, could work, and should work for us, and we need your help.
And look, one thing I love that
want to know what time you started.
Oh,
same
we
time
start at 8 o'clock
every week, right?
Like normal, unless I'm late. Look, normally we start 8 o'clock. Yeah, no good trouble today though. Look, I started all my good trouble. Well, a little bit of good trouble. We asked about how y'all felt about them coaches, but I actually gave us a business perspective on that. So I love that. I love that. But one thing I do love, she did this during income tax time. My dad and I have this conversation every year, and I noticed South Carolina State jumped on it. I feel like AD Suggs is kind of jumping on it. You get these football schedules out when income tax time comes, there's a better chance of you getting some funds from us. So especially if you can, make some of this stuff tax deductible, stuff like that, But I'm just saying, $100 and it's a merch. I'm just saying, I don't think that's an unfair ask as far as, especially around income tax time now. During the summer, USOL, because I ain't working. But it's income tax time. Hey, that's a good time for you to go on and get that.
That's why it's one time. We don't want to keep coming back.
Now, how long is it gonna last now? Because you can't just be like one day.
Exactly why it's one time.
Okay. How long? Folks.
No. It won't be one day.
Okay.
We put a time frame on it, but I believe we'll just stick with until we meet our 3,000 person goal. Because again, there are tiers. $100 is minimum, right? But we have a $187 tier. We have 4 different tiers. So if you choose to the whatever tier you choose to kind of engage with is, of course, your merch, your what you will receive in return kind of increases based on that, right? So $100 is just the bare minimum that we hope to, because it's an easy ask. It's a one-time thing. We don't look to just keep coming back and nickel and diming anyone. We want to make this easy for everybody, including ourselves. So this won't just end. It won't just be a one-day thing. It won't even be most likely we'll just go until we get to our $3,000 person mark of at least $100. If you do more, then great. And if you can do more, absolutely, we would love for you to take it. It can be tax deductible. And if you have a business, another thing is, and if you have a business that you would like to get some advertising for, like, for example, I don't want to hold you too long, Keith, because I don't know if I'm talking.
I'm off tomorrow, Ashley. So look.
I'm off tomorrow too.
Look, hey, I'm good.
So one thing I want to, from an NIL perspective, right? We saw it happen with Fix My Soul. He took his business. He came to us and said, hey, this is what I want to do. We sat down and talked about a partnership. We talked about how the athletes would get, their back end, and they agreed on the artwork. That's one option. We have another business who did something that wasn't necessarily a visible thing, but what we're going to do is we're creating a commercial for this business that they can use for social media advertising for their business, and it's going to be involving an athlete. So if you think about it like that, this is an opportunity to dig into your marketing budgets for your business. Sometimes small businesses don't have marketing budgets because sometimes they, you feel like you can't afford it and you're just kind of just trying to make it kind of thing. But if a business hones into their marketing should always equate to dollars on the bottom line of things. Now you may pay a lot into it on the front end, but with the word of mouth, with the social media, with the commercials and all the things and the visibility, it should trickle back around to dollars for you. So use Fang Exchange as an opportunity for your business, whether it's a small business, a medium size, a large business. Use Fang Exchange as an opportunity because these athletes have fans. These athletes have a base. They have 10,000 followers on their Instagram pages. They have 5,000 followers on Instagram pages. And there is a business that you'll see pretty soon that we're going to create, produce, and direct a commercial for them because they sponsor athletes within, through Fang Exchange. So that's another benefit to you as a business owner. Not only, can you do some tax deductions, but there's your marketing, the opportunity to market and market to, your demographic through one of our athletes.
And as she mentions that, how many times I can just speak for, O&G and myself, but how many times do you see something up there for the Dean Dozen and, all these other people who have something going on? And honestly, we don't get no compensation off that. We just honestly generally love FAMU,
Right.
and we're like, hey, we want
Right.
Kelvin Dean to get some bread, because honestly, if he get some bread, maybe he get some TDs, you know, like. And if one of these students are getting a commercial or something, you don't think the FAMU people gonna run it? Like, just send it our way, you know. Like, if you want to add attached, you know, a donation to it, it's always appreciated. But at the bottom line, like, our main goal is we want to uplift the program. Like, we really want people to come and enjoy FAMU athletics. We want you to support the student athletes. We want you to support us too. But you know, we know our business is better as, you know, whatever prognosticators, talking heads, whatever the heck you want to call us. It's better when we're winning. Like, when there's a bunch of bull junk going on,
Absolutely.
It's interesting, you know. But you'll notice, like, consistently, especially throughout the whole last year of fiasco stuff, you probably noticed the main people that cover FAMU were the people who talked about it the least. And, you know, I think Brian said it best. It's some folks that, you know, cash some checks on the backs of FAMU that don't do jack squat for FAMU. And I can tell you, me personally, just, you know, the person who helps the boosters and the NAA pro bono, some of them folks, I'm over there looking like, I ain't seen you in not another meeting, but you stay talking about FAMU.
Correct. And that's why I like your platform, Fangs Up. I like ONG and even Fang Exchange, Penalty Talk, you know, the other platforms, because so many people had things to say, and they do, even on social media platforms, have so many things to say about FAMU, and we're so and then rarely positive, unfortunately, from what I've seen. I don't know, maybe I'm missing it, but I rarely see positive things when we make the news or the front page for some of these podcasts, and some of these people who like to have think pieces is rarely positive. So that means that we have to take our narrative into our own hands. So I enjoy you being able to speak about FAMU in a positive light. I enjoy ONG being able to talk about all things FAMU, sports and on campus and around campus. I enjoy Penalty Talk, who doesn't mind breaking down, you know, the X's and O's and of the sports programs. And then us as Fang Exchange, we don't mind, although we are an NIL organization, we are, you know, we kind of talk FAMU sports in general. And what you'll see more than other things is that you'll see more content from us that is more than just us getting in front of a camera and talking. So in 2025, there'll be more content surrounding around the athletes and some stories. We have stories to tell. We have some good things and amazing things happening at FAMU. And oftentimes we find ourselves in the eye for things that are not always great. And even when it is an eye, people latch on to the not so great looking things. So we have to tell our own story. That's why I love that we have, you know, 4 platforms, and maybe some more to come that'll tell the real story of who we are as a family and who we are as people, and not some of the things that kind of just offer clicks and giggles.
Exactly. Right, because it looks anyways, I'll leave that alone. But yeah, look, it's I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Look, we always have fun. And look, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. A lot of times after the show, after my show, I'll literally jump into their comments and we have fun over there. Like, we are all really wanting the best for FAMU. Look, got new dorms coming up there. I don't know if y'all saw the renderings. It look good too. I ain't gonna hold you. I'm excited about Dr. Beard.
You know, it kind of look like Harry Potter to me. The Harry Potter building.
I thought it was just me. Okay, I thought it was just me. I was like, this doesn't look like the rest of the architecture, but I'm cool with it. Yeah, I'm enjoying that. I look, the 100.
It's cool. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, like FAMU's got some really cool things going on. I'm wondering what's going to go on with tailgating. We got to get AD Suggs on the show and kind of let her. I told her I'm gonna wait till football season kind of end and you kind of come off that and everything finished. But I kind of want her to talk about this new tailgate stuff, because I got some ideas about tailgating. I really think we should do like a whole. I know the tailgating village is a thing, but I think we could have some of these DSOs and organizations come together and really just throw like a real fire behind tailgate that would be its own attraction. So,
yeah, I can see that. I can see that happening, because, you know, we've leaned a lot into our vendors, which we love, because everybody loves having the vendors. But and you know, a lot of people do the individual tailgates, the ones who kind of have the tradition of doing it, but a really next level tailgate for us, because we like to hang with each other anyway. Like the stuff you kind of see homecoming time. That's if you see that on like a normal basis, it becomes a tradition and a new thing, a ritual of sorts, where it's just a thing that only enhances our game day experience, because a game day, football game day between the vendors, actual game, club brag, the people, the environment, the air, the aroma in the air is just already top notch. So throw in some of those ideas of tailgating in there and imagine like how much to the next level it goes. And I know AD Suggs and her team, you know, we're already seeing the creative things that she's kind of doing, and they're very subtle, but they're obvious at the same time. That there's the small things that she's doing, and with more time, she's gonna jump out and pop out some of those bigger things, and we're gonna be like just even more leaned in and excited about what, you know, where our athletic department will go.
It's exciting. I'll say this. I told my mom yesterday, we were talking about it. I was like, I remember the first Florida State game I went to, and we're going to the game, like, where are the vendors? And my buddy's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, there's nobody selling nothing out here. It's just like, oh, yeah, go to the stadium. And it sucks. Like, the only place I've ever seen anything close to the vendors we have, honestly, is UF. And it's not like our vendors. It's like Wendy's. Like, most of these other schools, they can't touch what we got. Like, even Florida Classic, you literally have people that they are not like us that come down there because they know our vendors, our food. Like, yeah, I'm coming down there just for that. And they're not members of the community. Like, it's an attraction. Like, I literally took one of my best buddies to homecoming one year. He left me. And I was like, RP, where'd you go? He's like, bro, the food. And mind you, he's an FSU student, and that's been my boys forever. And RP was like, I was like, man, my bad. That is like, no, you're good. I've never seen this before, and I would love to come to this again. Like, you get them on that FAMU narcotic, they love it.
They love it. And I was in at the Classic, this last Classic. I went to one of the vendors. It was in the little vendor park spot. It was a food truck though, and I was just talking to them while I was waiting on my food, and they said they came from Virginia. I said, you brought down here to sell some food? And they were like, absolutely. And this is our first time doing it, and we're coming back. And I was like, that's amazing to me that they came that far. I think it was Hampton, Virginia, that they came that far to sell barbecue.
Yes. I had a frat that came down. He was like, this is my first Florida Classic from New Jersey. He's like, we will come every year. I'm like, really? It's like, we went to the thing in New York. It wasn't like this. Like, you know, we had our, you know, the new set. We had a whole tent. Like, we kind of bougie. I ain't gonna lie. We had shrimp on the half, not shrimp, oyster on the half shell. We grilled oysters. Like, we're a little bougie. You know, we're a little bougie on the east side of Winter Park. But you know, we showed out for homecoming. I mean, for the Classic homecoming. One of my, yeah. Anyways. But yeah, we had people literally like, we coming back just because this whole vibe is fire. Like, I think if we can encompass that into more of our events, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Our game day environment is already top notch. And I do believe that's why a lot of schools want to come to brag and want to come in to brag. They may not admit it, but I do know that they see the videos and they see the chatter about our game day experience and club brag and how fun the game is. And but I believe that's why they want to come get that. They want to come get that experience. I'm gonna go on a limb and say that they want to get that experience.
Yeah, you ain't ruffling no feathers with that one, IT. Now, I think we get a little bit of something off of that, but not what we can.
Like how? Because that's city property, right? Technically.
Yeah, like that's like those people's houses. A lot of stuff, as far as I know. Like I think honestly, that's like an ONG Kelvin question. I know Kelvin know that answer better than me. I don't want to tell no lies, but I feel like they pay a little something, but they might not. I don't know. You're not wrong. I'll say that. But yeah, it makes the vibe better.
I got a question for you.
Absolutely.
Pete. So on your page on X, you put up you pretty much like had a rundown of all the people that we've offered. Right?
Yeah.
All positions, as many as you could find, because they're like offers are flying out, like Oprah's throwing them out, just offers. They're thrown out everywhere. So what are your thoughts on offers and like the positions that the coaches are keying in on, and even kind of some of the questions you asked me early on, like what is your thoughts on the offers and like the key hires that we made, and like we saw what our football program ended up as, like, right, the season is over. We can all sit back and look. We can evaluate every game if we wanted to, and even how they were coached of sorts. So from where we finished off last season to where this is off season, this is where you win championships and this is where you get better and win games. Truthfully, Like, what are your thoughts, and what do you think about it?
I think just openly, if you look at the season as a microcosm, you kind of hit the mark. Like it's I hate to say this, Jackson State kind of hit the standard. TC Taylor's first season, he had a 7-win season.
Mm-hmm.
Colsey does the same thing. And
Yeah.
so, right after having all that talent, you have a wave of departures. You literally mimic what they do season wise, and you lose games that you honestly should have won. I think coaching wise, I'm looking forward to this change. I was definitely one of the people who asked the question about special teams. I've asked that question multiple times, even, kind of nicely asked it to Colsey. I'm excited to see what difference and changes are made offensive line wise. I want to see the difference there too, just because I feel like Burris is going to be named the OC. I think that's kind of like, I don't know if it's an open secret, but I think we all are kind of looking like to Colsey, like, all right, so he's going to be the OC, because in 2 games, the offense looked very different. It looked a lot better, but that's also a very small sample size, and that doesn't offer opposing coaches a lot of film to kind of go against what he was doing. So, but I'm excited to see about that. As far as recruiting, I'm like a lot of y'all. I was mad frustrated with all them DBs, because I was like, we got a lot of defensive backs coming in. We're losing some. We got, we're obviously losing 2 of the 3 best DBs. We don't know what's going on with Deco as far as is he going to get that extra eligibility done. And then you have a DB hit the transfer portal who doesn't play a lot. So I want to see that, but I'm loving the fact that I saw all those offensive and defensive linemen. And that was part of why, even though I kind of got behind, I was like, yo, let me just put these offers out there, because I get the question like you do, because we are, so closely attached to the program, and we do what we do for it and for our love. This is my hobby. But what's the offensive line look like? What's the defensive line looking like? And I was like, yo, let's get this out here so that we can start to see. I'm loving it. I love the fact that we are intentional about offensive line. I think a lot of us all felt like the offensive line could have done a much better job as far as blocking. At times, it seemed like we were better pass blockers than we were run blockers. But then defensive line wise, that I'm looking for that interior line. I see we did offer a hybrid. We offered a couple guys that can play both inside and outside, but I want us to get 1 or 2 guys that are dedicated interior linemen. Like, give me a dude that's a pork chop sandwich away from 300 pounds. Like, I'm seeing a lot of 270. That's James Ash, and nothing against James Ash, but we limited his effective snaps because he was playing inside and outside. Like, you had him playing both as an interior lineman and an exterior lineman, where it seems like this defense, the Dark Cloud defense, is at its best when you probably do have those edge rushers that are able to just be dedicated edge rushers who try to get penetration. You have the interior linemen who eat up blocks, and you let the linebackers flow. And I love that. Nayron Jenkins came into his own this year. Like, that dude, I believe, from
I love his growth and his progression, and just seeing him be vocal. Like, as far that he's got to be one of the leaders of the team and defense coming into the next season, and just to know his story, how he just really brick by brick, like,
and the fact that all the receivers I was high on hit. Oh man, your boy, the other one from Buchholz, my boy that transferred from Florida State, obviously Asion. Look, I tell you, I knew Asion's mom before I knew Asion. Like, Asion was darn near in college before I really got to kind of meet him, and I had his little brother. But I know his mom from working at Jones, so it's like to see them boys kind of pop out like that. I'm excited, and I really feel like you got a quarterback again. Granted, he's a left-handed quarterback, so that's gonna be interesting to see. But you got another quarterback that, much like Richardson, I think can really push the ball downfield. I want to see what his accuracy looks like, but I want to see, are we going to be able to use his legs? Like, you saw when Richardson kind of used his legs a little bit.
Yeah. I like that he what I did see on him, that he's good. He can run. So that's one of the things that we've been very, over the last few years, we've had a lot of pocket passers who don't really, they probably run 10% or less of the time that they, were there, were playing. But it's always exciting, and you got to be careful about running quarterbacks because they prone to get hurt, when they're putting themselves out there like that. But I mean, if a running quarterback, in addition to being able to pass the ball and make some accurate passes, is I think it gives trouble to our opponents, to SWAC defenses. Being able to be dual and throw when you need to throw, run when you need to run has to me, from what I've seen, even from other schools, has posed problems. So I like that I see that we're going for someone who can do both, and then even more the people who are out there that are being recruited, that those are the skill sets. So you're starting to see skill sets being recruited and not just bodies, and not just people who are good at something. It's like, no, we know these are the things you're good at. We're going to hone in on those things you're good at, and we're going to work it into our game plan and the identity of who we are as offense or defense.
And I like that Cozy's shown his growth too, Ashley. Like, he's shown that
he really is.
Like, we all know there's a certain way to win the SWAC. And the way that you win the SWAC is be able to beat the best MEAC team. It's physical. We saw that with Jackson State. Jackson State, when they lost to South Carolina State, when they lost those Celebration Bowls, South Carolina State and that was North Carolina Central, they just out-physicaled them. Most times the MEAC teams out-physicaled them, had a mobile quarterback, and had a couple home run hitters that they could drop a ball and that could catch it. Even when we beat Howard last year, I mean, you had Jeremiah Pruitt, Kelvin Dean goes off. You had that offensive line that was just able to move people. And you had a defense that, even though Musa was not having his best game, able to kind of combat that. I think you're seeing where Cozy's figured out, like, okay, this is how we win the SWAC. We got to win the SWAC because nothing else matters. Like, there is no playoff berth and all this other stuff, because we saw that, this year there was a hurricane that took it away, but even still, you probably wouldn't make the playoff. But you got to win the conference first, because if you win the conference and you can out physical these teams, that's where it's going to be, because we know that Valley and Pine Bluff and all those teams, they're going to try to use speed on the outside to combat the fact that they can't get those bodies in. They don't have a Fang Exchange to help with the NIL to get those bigger guys in. So they got to use speed. Whereas if we can wear you down, hey, there's nothing you can do if you can't stop the run.
That's absolutely right. And that's, to me, even looking at the last Celebration Bowl, like, in my mind, this is my personal opinion, I believe that South Carolina lost when they had that, I believe, 19-minute the defensive drive, where the defense just stayed on the field, and I don't even know how you do that for 19 minutes, first of all. But somehow, for that long, the defense could not get off the field, and I think they got worn down. Now, granted, the offense couldn't get going either, but I believe that a fresh defense would have, obviously, they always complement the offense, right? And I think that's honestly where the start of the downfall happened for them, because up until that point, it was kind of neck and neck. It was just a 0-0. Nobody was outdoing the other one, in my eyes. And then it was like, it just got turned up on South Carolina. The defense was worn down, and it was nothing else they could do after that. And that might speak to depth as well. I'm not sure if that was a depth issue as well, but I know for sure that they got worn down in that series where they literally had to stay on the field for so long and couldn't, take a break and keep their legs fresh and their wind fresh and all those things. So that's important for us. You take those kind of things and you look at it and say, hey, number one, you need depth. You need people that you can sub in and out. And you also need conditioning, which we have an amazing strength and conditioning coach. You need the nutrition that we know that the boosters and even Fang Exchange is interested in kind of helping enhance the nutrition, because we're an organization that wants holistically for the athletic department to do well. So we'll probably enact some initiatives where we can and where we see fit to kind of help us out, even all the way down to the appearance of our athletes and when they go places, and all that stuff matters to us at Fang Exchange. And yes, we are an NIL organization, but we are for Florida A&M athletic department. So if NIL encompasses name, image, and likeness, but there are opportunities where we can kind of help enhance our see where there's a need and kind of enact an initiative from another perspective and help our athletic department. So those are things that matter. Depth, defensive line, offensive line, and our coaches, from what we can see, like Cedric Williams. I see JT put in the chat that Cedric Williams is a good guy, and it appears that that's what it be. It hasn't been made official yet, but it appears that that'll be.
And also, I think the other thing
Yeah,
we
you're
saw,
right. Yeah, you're right about that special teams too.
yeah, special
Absolutely right.
teams, but quarterback play too. Like I think, we kind of glossed over, and I pointed out that Musa wasn't his best. Like first half was trash. Second half, Musa was actually decent, and I think that's the other thing. Like South Carolina State's quarterback, Phoenix, which is not it. Like that game was not his game,
He didn't
and
have a
you
good
saw
game.
where
That's true.
like he couldn't hit nothing. It was bad. So yeah, but I think those big things, and having a solid one, and a serviceable number two quarterback, and I think we got two or three quarterbacks.
Yeah,
I'm biased that one should be three, but hey,
I'll be quiet.
That's my boy, but he give him a good clipboard. He'll be all right.
Yeah. No comment.
But we got a number one. I'm good with number one. I want to see what the others are gonna be.
I think we're gonna end up with a 1A and a 1B before it's all said and done. To be honest, which is a good thing. So. We'll end up with a 1A and a 1B, and then we like EA said that we capitalize on that special teams, because it became more and more obvious this past season how special teams can really hamper the progress that you make, or just get into a good position to win a game. So that's important. And again, that's where you see the growth come in our coaching staff to say, hey, we see where things were great, we see where things were okay, and we see where things were absolutely unacceptable, and we have to improve in those areas. And as a fan base, if you're on Twitter, I think most of our offers are only on Twitter for now. But as a fan base, if you have a Twitter account, you should be able to see that they are really addressing the things that most of us as fans sitting on the couch watching from the stands or the TV, they see what we see, and it's very obvious. So that's exciting to see.
Yeah, and we saw, I think, when we kind of go back and look at special teams, I tell anybody the kicking didn't bother me. I understood that. I gave him an out on the kicking, because 4 games into the season, 2 of your kickers magically disappear. Like, all right, 2 to me, 2 to you. I know the NCAA rule. After you play 4 games, you can't redshirt. So I kind of knew what was up. Like, I wasn't mad. But it was some of the other stuff in special teams where it's like, all right, bro, like I get 2 of your kickers pretty much said deuces, we're going to find something better. But the thing was, when it was just like the kick returns are happening and these dudes are just running the ball back for it, and you're like, some of that's on the kicker, but a lot of that is you doing some cockamamie formations that don't make no sense. Like, Doc, you got to do better. So it's going to be interesting to see kicks getting blocked and stuff like that. Like, that's lining up and assignments. So it's going to be interesting, though, actually. I'm excited for next year. I definitely think this may be the biased part of me, because the transfer portal's the window's closing tomorrow, something like that?
No, it closed yesterday.
It closed yesterday.
That the last few will probably happen today, because I think there's a lag time. Like, if you say you want to go in the portal, but maybe compliance has not officially filed your paperwork, there's a slight lag time that you may see new people between like today, tomorrow-ish. But I believe they would have had to at least initiate it by yesterday. Would have had to start it by yesterday.
Yeah, I think the offers that you put out there are going to start producing fruit in the next couple of days, because now there are I think I saw like 7,000 or 8,000 students in the transfer portal, and there's only like 1,500 spots. Look, I don't know about you, but that T-Mobile bill is not cheap. and you telling me I ain't got no scholarship money, and I might have to settle for like JUCO opposed to, look, say they want by FAMU, but they got meal plans and all kind of stuff. Look, bills is about to come due, and these students are about to start snagging these offers. My personal opinion.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, we kind of went through this portal period pretty good. You know, we have to remember that there's another portal session opening up, shorter time period, but in April. So we'll have to make sure that we retain the ones who are already here. And then, you know, if there's more that they want to see that they need to bring in, you have this spring workout time to survey the team and say, all right, I need another DN, or I need another defensive tackle, or whatever position you need. That's the good thing. But the portal giveth, the portal taketh away, of course. But if we can figure out how to just make sure that we're taking advantage of who's here, and that cheaper to keeper is real. And it takes more effort, energy, and all the things to bring in a new person than to just kind of if you recruited a quality athlete on the front end, then the development just needs to be there and figure out how to keep them. Now I see EA is saying that. I hear what you're saying about the coach, but we can't have small DNs. So sometimes you do need to go out and say, hey, my DNs are too small. I need somebody with a little bit more weight on them, or I need somebody that's quicker on the feet, or more athletic, whatever the need is at the position. So even special teams, you put your best athletes out there on special teams and make sure that they're in the gaps. We had a lot of that missing week in and week out. I would hold my breath every kickoff. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen next. That's kind of what happened. Unfortunately, but again, the bright side of things is that we have a staff that's aware of what was transpiring, and during this offseason is doing the necessary steps. And this is the fan in me talking, because I have to wear multiple hats. So just know this is the Rattler alum fan actually that's having a conversation right now. But I kind of think about special teams as, like, because I play basketball, I think about press, the press, right? All press is being in the right place at the right time to either get the steal or confuse the offense so bad that they throw the ball away anyway. That's all you need to do. You need to, when your zone or your area is supposed to be there, you just got to be there. Make sure they don't get in the middle, because what's in the middle, the press is broken. It's simple. That's the simplest way to say it. And to me, I look at special teams like that, and so oftentimes that people were just not in the right places. And if they were in the right places, they were just missing tackles. So I'm like, I'm just glad to know that we are addressing the things. Like, the first step to improvement is acknowledging it, addressing it, and then you do something about it. And we're seeing the growth in our staff. Some of these kids NILs are going to wind up at UPS.
And to answer your question, JT, nah, they didn't even show up to the games. I'll be honest with you.
No, it was nowhere to be found.
Once that fourth game hit,
yeah,
them boys is gone. Like, I remember the question was like, "You seen X, Y, Z?" And that third time somebody asked that question, I was like, the transfer portal, if you play 4 games, you can't transfer. And they're like, "Oh, they're hurt." I'm like, "They hurt, all right. Hurt like a fox." Like, these kids know the rules. Like, it's like anything else. You a parent, or you got friends, you're around kids. Kids learn the rules. They know how they're gonna get around, and you can't hate on them. Like, they had
and that's what the transfer portal did. That's literally what the transfer portal and these new rules did. Transfer portal was the freedom. NIL is the enticement of sorts. So the portal is a free for all at this point, where you don't have to get a release anymore. You don't have to. You have 2 open windows, and it's practically some sort of free agency of sorts for college athletics. And that's the opportunity that was afforded to the athletes when the NCAA opened up the portal the way they did, without removing some of the rules. So it makes it hard to have a veteran program, because a lot of times when your veterans get to a certain level of skill set, a lot of times they get interested in other opportunities. Not always, but a lot of times. So it does make it difficult on that end. But that's just a new way. That's why you see coaches leaving out of the landscape and deciding that they don't want to coach anymore, because they don't want to have to deal with all the nuances and the caveats of how things are now. But that's just the way it is. So, there will be some players in the portal, like some of our athletes and some of other schools' athletes that'll go to the portal with high expectations and high hopes. And some of those things won't be met, unfortunately, because, you do have to bet on yourself if you believe that you can have a different opportunity. But a bet is a bet. Like, you take a risk of you can win a bet or you can lose a bet. And as athletes, just coming from being one in my younger years, like, you do have to have this uncanny level of confidence in yourself to even be somewhat good of an athlete. But that confidence can lead you down the path of a not so great decision sometimes. So that portal is going to be exciting for some people, and then that portal is going to hurt some people who will get in the portal and find themselves still there when tuition is due and when spring sports start. and when fall sports start.
Right. Now I'm gonna ask a couple more questions. Especially on the NIL side, and it's just me. It's just again, I'm a sports nerd, but I'm also a fan. So and I'm a nerd that forgot to put the regular mic in. So this is the Wi-Fi mic. So sorry about those who are like, oh, the audio is different. It is. It's my fault. But I ain't gonna lie. I was excited. I was like, yo, I got asked on the show today. It is what it is. But with NIL, and the reason I asked my first question is, I saw what Duke did. If you didn't see, Duke University just signed a quarterback, and they've given him a 2-year NIL deal. Do you foresee in the future where these NIL deals are going to be multi-level and multi-year in binding?
I don't. It's kind of hard to say. What I will say, I do believe there's levels still to NIL, because there's levels to these athletic programs. Like there's a P4 level, there's a G5 level, there's a North Dakota State level of FCS, and then there's a you get the D2, you come on down, and there's just levels to it. So I think across the board, NIL, there's always going to be levels. I think the more money that they continue to give these athletes at these like a Duke, and like I think the BYU athlete, the basketball player, got
in Michigan.
And Michigan, right. So they're the ones who are doing these like groundbreaking, double-digit million, 10 million type NIL deals. I could see that happening, but I don't see how it could be binding though. You know what I mean? So I don't see how if an athlete signs a 2-year, even a 3-year deal for NIL, I can't see how it'll be binding to the point where they're stuck at the school because of an NIL opportunity. Maybe the rules and the market in the area changes so much that it does happen that way, but I still think it hinges on the scholarship, and the portal is open. So I think that whether they sign a deal or not, it's still probably going to be contingent upon whether or not they choose to stay. But there's going to be some legal jargon in there. That's why it's always important. And even with us, like we are nowhere near, those size opportunities, but we always get some legal counsel, get some financial counsel. That's important to us. And it should be important to anyone who deals with NIL, because these athletes are getting extra dollars. There's taxes involved with these, even with gifts. There is financial literacy that sometimes these athletes don't get. And then they just get money thrown to them, whether it's $1,200 a month or $300,000 a year. It happens that way. So the financial literacy, they aren't realizing that the taxes are coming back to bite them at high levels. Not only that, you're just getting more money, and you need to be able to manage it well. A lot of times, sometimes these parents aren't good at managing money, so you can't. You need somebody who can do that for you. So, will it be multi-year deals? And probably, yeah, I'm sure. But will it bind them to the school? I can't see how that will happen.
And then my last one, I don't know, baseball model. The baseball model, I don't know if they changed it, but in the past, the baseball model was the students could leave either straight out of high school and go to the pros, or they had to stay in college normally until they were like a junior. Then they could, go to the pros. Do you see something where college football does something similar to that model, wherein the students are similar to the NIL question, but locked into that school for maybe 2 years or so, just to help provide stability to the rosters, the fan bases, just because you kind of see what college basketball like. I know you said you're a basketball fan, and I grew up a college basketball fan. I'm a fan of teams. I have no college basketball players that I like, because honestly, they move around too much. There's too much fluctuation. Do you see where college football tries to force players to stay places maybe 2 years or something like that?
I mean, I just can't see how they could. I'm trying to think through, like on the fly, how they could even make that a thing, because you'd almost, one of the reasons why the JUCO ruling became so widespread is because one player asked for it. It went to the courts for one player, but then they realized, oh, okay, now we got to make this fair across the board so they kind of closed it off and said only last year's players who, ended last year, you get one more year. It was kind of like hey, fair is fair. We did it for him, we'll do it for you all. And then, but they capped it so that those people from 2 years ago wouldn't come back trying to relive.
Can you get Isaiah Major back?
Right. Correct. So they capped it in that way. I just don't see how they can make, because everybody won't be able to get NIL. So I mean, granted, the ones who get those multi-year deals are the ones who can get NIL, or even if you're trying to hold on to players, I just don't see how. And maybe somebody can tell me differently, but I just don't see how they can make any one player attached to a school more longer than they want to be, because they're still students as well, and any student can transfer out if they have the qualifications to transfer to another institution. So when you remember that they're still students and they haven't taken away the student portion of it yet, which they may, I mean, that'll be interesting if they do. But they're still students, and NCAA and a lot of institutions are still looking at them as students first. So NIL, you just have to, in my opinion, if you're going to give high level deals, if you want to keep a player for multiple years, you're going to have to kind of put the legal jargon in there for that to happen. But I still don't see how you can literally force them. It'd be one thing to kind of sell them on staying, but to say, hey, you signed this deal and you got to be here for 2 more years, I don't really see how that would even work.
Okay, look, that's why I asked questions. I was like, let me see. Hey, you never know. Okay. Hey,
yeah,
that's why I asked questions. So,
these conversations are fun to me. It's fun.
Hey, look, because I know for me, like man, what are they gonna do with the NIL next? Like I do listen to the other schools people, so it's interesting to hear them talk about the battles and what they're doing. And one of my dude ain't been on their show forever, and he just came back, so he's talking about what they're doing in battles. I'm like, yeah, y'all just doing some stuff, and kind of to JT's point, seeing your boy just gave back $4.5 million. You don't think all of a sudden all those signings that they just have been getting are tied to that 4.5 he just gave back?
That was strategic. That was strategic for sure.
Yeah, like you just watched Miami go to the Pop-Tart Bowl here in Orlando with a roster that cost them $25 million and a quarterback that cost them $3 million. You paid $3 million to come to Orlando.
Yeah.
You paid $25 million for a football program to come to Orlando?
To be at the Pop-Tart Bowl.
Right.
Because at the beginning of the season, the hopes were different. Like, you were going to be in the playoffs. You almost was ready to go into the championship game. That was the hopes. But that's the tricky part when you're making those high level deals, which I think some of these collectives, some of these resource groups, and some of these people who are donating to these, you have to accept that on the front end, that the dollars you put out, you may not get what you put into it. And it's no different than like an NFL franchise that pays, Russell Wilson to come, and you pay him whatever dollars you pay him to come to be the quarterback, and you may not make the playoffs, or you may not get to the Super Bowl. It's no different. You just have to accept it, that when you pay into these athletes, into this NIL, that it may end up a bad investment for you, but you have to be okay with that. But that's what investments are, just like bets and gambles. You literally, it can fare to be well, or it can fare to be something that you consider a bad investment. So it just depends. And that's kind of the chance you take. You even take the chance of athletes just leaving. Like, they'll take their NIL payments and decide that they'll get in the portal. So there's so many things that come with NIL. There are so many great things about NIL. There are also some things that kind of get a little dicey about NIL that we work through every day. But you should be able to put some safeguards in place to kind of protect yourself. But when you start getting to the millions of dollars and $10 million contracts, $3 million contracts, you've got to be prepared to potentially lose on what you put in, or not. At least not
across the street.
Get out of it.
That school across the street paid $1 million for 2 wins for a quarterback. I'm sorry, I'm still salty, and I'm also a little petty. They paid $1 million to get 2 wins, and Buddy played like 6 games, and y'all could have benched him after the second game.
And now declaring for the draft. So,
and I will give that man his credit as a coach. That dude's solid, because he was like, he did everything he came here to do. I'm like, dang, you a good friend. Because I tell you what, boy, I
you got to do it as a coach, though.
Yeah,
you got to do it as a coach. You got to stand by your people, right? Marvin just said, they wanted to win the ACC championship with that type of money, and that's probably was the goal: win the ACC championship, get a bid into the playoffs, and then go from there, right?
Yeah.
And it didn't happen, but those payouts were paid.
Absolutely.
The contract, you were obligated to make the payment. So, I mean, it's just like the NFL franchise, NBA franchise. You pay high dollars for the high level athletes that you think you want in your organization, and they don't always, like Anthony Davis. He gets hurt every week, but that doesn't stop him from getting max contracts.
You're right. Look, how long did the Orlando Magic wait for Jonathan Isaac? I don't even like the Magic like that. He's just like, he's in year like 7, and he's just now playing like every other night.
Right. And you just, so it's a gamble. It's an investment. You have to be okay with it. But when you're talking millions of dollars and you want this immediate, you want to say, I'm going to put $20 million into this program and I expect to be in a championship game this year, you got to be careful because your expectations are really high. That's coaching still plays into that, locker room. It's so hard to win games.
Yeah.
It just
when
is.
You don't play the whole game.
As easy as we like to think it is to win the games. So, NIL is needed. It's a part of the landscape now.
Yeah, it's here to stay. Oh, well, at least until they try to legislate it in something different else. We'll see how long for the government really get into it. Hopefully, they stay out of it. Oh, goodness. Ashley, any parting questions, comments? Look, I ran long for me, and neither one of us normally have our shows go this long, so y'all know it's special because we both came together. They got money back. That's what, 4.5. Anything special? Any shout outs you want to do before we head out?
No shout out. Well, I take it back. Shout out to the Fang Exchange crew specifically. They have been in the trenches, my Ebonics way to say it. They have been in the trenches heavily with me building this thing, growing this thing. We are working very hard to bring up more value, more content, more innovation, more opportunities for our athletes. Because not only do we want our athletes happy, we want our fan base to be happy too. So this is a positive correlation for everybody if we all kind of just get in with it. So shout out to the Fang Exchange crew. We just kind of reached out about a graphic designer. We were able to kind of reach out to some people about helping us bring in a graphic designer. So again, we're doing things to grow. So if you have a business, if you have an interest in NIL, if you know about NIL and you feel like you have some in any way you can help, send us an email. Reach out to us over DMs. We are open. This is not a gate kept entity. We are for the people, for the athletes, for our department. So at the end of the day, that's all it is. So shout out to FAMU Rattler Nation. Shout out to Fang Exchange crew. And check out Thanksgiving, one of those packages. I got you, Marvin. We're going to have the Thanksgiving coming up as well as one of our packages. We got some merch that'll come through and you'll love it. So Marvin, we'll make sure we take care of you.
Some fun times, man. Look, I'm excited. Look, income tax time is coming. So I know what I'm going to probably gift myself. I don't know about you, but I know me personally, I gift myself some quarterly. Like, look, I gift my friends, I gift my family.
You work hard.
Sometimes you got to, as what they say on the show, treat yourself. So treat yourself to Thanksgiving.
Correct.
Open up the year the right way.
Correct.
So, all right, y'all. For Ashley, everybody from the Fang Exchange and the crew, y'all already know what's up. It's always going to be Fangs up.
Yeah, baby, you know what time it is. Now let's get it started.
Are you kidding me? Unreal.
While our HBCUs are mostly known for academic rigor, community, they also know how to turn up.